Howdy again, scouting families. I've been asked to put together a little STEM video for us for the scouting camp-in this weekend, May 2nd. And what we're going to be doing is showing you how you can, it's both a survival idea as well as a STEM project where you can actually make filtered water just from plants. Any vegetation that you might find should you be trapped somewhere to access to clean water. Basically what we're going to be doing is I'm going to use my grass clippings and mow my lawn here, but if you find weeds or if there were trees around that you could pull down some branches, you'd be able to use the same method to make yourself some filtered water just with some vegetation, a couple of bowls, and some sunlight. All done. Okay, so now that we have mowed our lawn, we've got some grass clippings here. We also went down to the garden and picked our rhubarb for the early part of the season. Those are some pretty massive leaves that you get on the rhubarb, and it starts growing early in the season. And you usually cut it and then let it grow back and cut some more later in the summer. So anyways, we've got plenty of vegetation here, but my sun seems to have kind of disappeared on me, which is kind of a double-edged sword. So on the one hand, it would probably take longer for us to get water from our weeds, but if it were to rain, then you could go ahead and just turn this into a rain catcher and you could drink rainwater instead of having to do this process. So you got to take what you're given. All right, so we're gonna just kind of smash up some of this vegetation and shove it down into the bowl. I'm gonna take some of the grass clippings. That's good stuff too. Last year, when I did this for our PAC 443 Survival Day, once a year we do a PAC meeting that has to do with survival. I actually used an entire 50-gallon drum that I had filled with weeds, and we made about almost a gallon of water out of it. So depending on how much vegetation and how big of a bowl you have, it very much affects how much water you're going to get out of this process, as well as how much sunlight and how warm it is. But you can do this even if you don't have a whole lot of heat, but you definitely, the sunlight definitely helps. All right, so I'm going to smash this guy all down in here. Make sure I got a spot for my bowl. Now, the trick here is, and earlier I said, this is kind of a filtered water. Well, it's a water that you could drink if you didn't have water. I don't know that it's necessarily what I would call filtered. It's definitely not going to taste as good as what comes out of the refrigerator filter. But it definitely would get you by if you needed to. It's always been said that it's better to drink water that might not be necessarily sanitary than to die of thirst. So always keep that in mind. All right, so I got leaves and grass on my hands now. Trying to keep that out of the water because I plan to drink this when we're done. So you put your bowl in the middle of the larger bowl of vegetation. And then what you're going to do, I am going to have to get rid of some of this. That ought to work. Okay. Then you're going to take plastic wrap. Make sure you get your parents' help on this part, because even I can't work plastic wrap very well. But you're going to take your plastic wrap, try not to get any holes in it, and you're going to go over the top of the outer bowl here. Okay, try to get a good seal on it. Try and keep it fairly tight. Okay. When I did the 55-gallon barrel, I actually used painter's plastic instead of the saran wrap, just because it was such a large container. Alright, now you're going to need to place something in the middle of the inside bowl. That way, as it condenses, so you know the water is transpiring from out of the plant life. It's essentially evaporating out of that, and it's going to condense and collect on the plastic up here, and your rock is going to give it a spot where it can collect and drip down or precipitate back into the inner bowl. So let me grab a rock real quick. Okay, and I'm going to put that right in the middle, and then we're just going to have to wait and see if we end up collecting any water without the sun being out all that much. It might be a little challenging, but we'll give it a shot. You know, of course, this is a fairly easy experiment for you to try at home. I will leave it up to you and your parents as far as if you want to drink the water. And that's definitely not something, if you don't need to do it, I wouldn't do it. But you know, you can get the point of how this might end up helping save a life when you're stuck out in the desert, or you know, someplace where you might have vegetation but no water. Well, drats. As you can see, it doesn't look like the weather's going to cooperate with me very much. We got a lot more clouds, not very much sun, it's cooled way down. So, plan B. I am going to let it sit and collect as much sun as it can. Then I'm going to bring it in and set it under a heat lamp tonight. And then I'll put it out first thing in the morning tomorrow. And then we will have a second part to this series live on Zoom. Watch out for the link on that. Go to the Council, Nevada Area Council Facebook page. Just Google that if you haven't ever been there before. And we will have part 2 of our Making Water from Weeds STEM video here, where you will find out if Cub Master Jim has what it takes to try the water that he makes from weeds. So tune in tomorrow for that. I think that we'll probably shoot for about 3 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. Thanks. Bye. Will Cub Master Jim drink water from weeds? Tune in tomorrow to the Facebook page for the Nevada Area Council to find out.